What's going on? Happy Monday to all of you. Farzin Vasugan here with you on this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. Thank you all for joining me as we're here. Draft week is finally here in approximately 72 hours. The Chiefs will make their selection and we will find out what they'll do. This is a very interesting time for Kansas City. I think it's been made very clear, not just on this podcast, but everywhere where you're listening to any kind of NFL draft material, that this draft for the Kansas City Chiefs is extremely important. This is a big one for Kansas City because they've got to get it right. They've got to hit on a lot of their picks, similar to how they did in 2022 and 2021, and they've got to get every single pick. They've got to get them all down, basically. So no pressure. Now, the good news is you've got 2 first-round draft picks, one in the top 10 and one very late in the first round. The question is, what do you do if you're Kansas City? Who are you taking with the 9th pick? We'll get into that and more here on this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. Before we go any further, I want to let you know this podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek. That's where I go to for all of my sports ticketing needs. If you guys want to catch pro wrestling in your area, we've got WWE SmackDown coming to Kansas City very soon. You want to watch some minor league action over at the K, you can do that as well. Want to wait on some college football? The NFL schedule will be announced very soon. Any action you want to catch in person, KC Current, Sporting KC, go to my friends over at SeatGeek. And if you're a new SeatGeek customer, use my promo code FARZIN. That'll save you $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Get your tickets at SeatGeek, and new customers, use my promo code FARZIN at checkout, and you will save $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. All right. Appreciate you all joining me on this Monday night. I want to hear from you guys. And I'll post a link as we go on throughout the show, but I want to know from you guys what your thoughts are going into this draft. So I have the link for you guys to call in. That's already been posted on Facebook and YouTube. So if you guys want to call into the show, please feel free to do so. Would love to hear from you guys. We'll have the link as well on Thursday night. Because whenever the Chiefs make their their selection with the 9th pick, unless they trade up or trade down, we will go live immediately and we will have the link for you guys to call in because I want to hear from you guys. And I've just been thinking more and more over the weekend because all off season, what have I told you? I think it's going to be Rueben Bain Jr. But I've also been very open-minded about this whole situation. I've told you guys many times, don't dismiss the possibility of some of these other positions here. I know a lot of Chiefs fans have been picking on wide receiver, and I've given my thoughts on why I think the odds of getting a wide receiver might be lower than some think, but I'm not dismissing that possibility depending on how things go with the first 8 picks, especially if a lot of defensive players go off the board and it just happens to be that both Tate and Tyson are there at 9. And speaking of Tyson, in recent days, it feels like Kansas City's been connected to Jordan Tyson quite a lot. A lot of the national media, they think that the Chiefs will select an offensive tackle. I've seen Spencer Fano as a very popular pick at 9. I know that's not a very popular pick amongst Chiefs fans. Francis Mauigoa, who I think is really the only offensive lineman worth taking in the top 10. But again, some things would have to... You would need a lot of guys to go off the board for Francis Mauigoa to be your number 1 option by the time you're on the clock at 9. But I'm not dismissing the possibility at 9. Listen, I get it. There's nothing exciting about an offensive lineman. Even when they're great, we don't really give them their props when they deserve it because it's just not a position we pay so much attention to. And I've seen a lot of people say, get either Caleb Downs, a very talented safety, or get someone like Mansour Delane, or Carnell Tate, a playmaker, a Rueben Bain Jr., David Bailey, one of those guys. And I get it. Not a lot of people are saying get Francis Mauigoa. And I feel like a lot of Chiefs fans are completely shutting down the idea of getting Francis Mauigoa. Listen, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm also not here to tell you that's not going to happen. But here's what I'm gonna say. Have an open mind because sure, it's not the most thrilling, exciting draft selection at 9. I get it. You want a premier position. And even though the Chiefs are going to have Rashee Rice this year, a lot of the thought process is get a good wide receiver early with the 9th pick because Rice is more likely than not going to be replaced. Not going to dismiss the possibility of Rice coming back either, but I can understand the Chiefs possibly moving on from Rice. That is very likely given some of his activity in recent years. But the thought is, hey, you're not going to pick this early ever again, hopefully, in the Mahomes era. So go get a playmaker at 9 and hope that he can be a long-term viable option for Patrick Mahomes for many years to come. The argument for right tackle from me is, okay, it's not an exciting player, but hey, if you have a lot of good offensive line, and the Chiefs have invested a lot in the offensive line. They paid 2 guys big money, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. They drafted Josh Simmons with their first-round pick last year, and they were pretty fortunate. He fell to them at 31, eventually 32, because they traded down one spot. And if they were to use another first-round pick, getting a right tackle, a couple of years ago, Kingsley Suamataia was a second-round pick who you traded up one spot for to get. Now, he did not pan out as a left tackle, but he certainly looks like he has a future at left guard for right now. Look, I know nothing can ever match the offensive line that Trent Green had with Willie Roaf, Will Shields, Brian Waters, Casey Wakeman, but I think you've got to try to shoot for that if you can, because you never want another Super Bowl 55 or another Super Bowl 59 ever again. I mean, once was enough, twice was terrible to experience. You don't want to be on that side again. Now, it'd be pretty nice if the Chiefs, and this has been my pipe dream for the first round, if the Chiefs attacked the defensive line, getting Reuben Bain Jr. and getting somebody like Caden McDonald or Peter Woods with the 29th pick to really beef up that defensive line. Because if you ever get into a position where you're facing a team with a lot of backup offensive linemen, or they're just dealing with banged up an offensive line for whatever reason, hey, you've got a lot of depth on that defensive line to go off and have a great game. We saw it with the Chargers. We saw it with the Patriots. We saw it with the Chiefs. You can't ever apologize for an opposing team missing guys on their offensive line. You don't have, I don't care how great your quarterback is. If he does not have pass protection, it's going to be a long day for that quarterback. And that's why I think in a perfect world, you can get the best edge rusher possible. And you can also get the best defensive tackle, or maybe the second best defensive tackle possible, because the thought is from a lot of experts out there is that there aren't going to be a lot of defensive tackles taken in the first round. If any of them are going to go, it's probably going to be near the end of the first round. Now, mind you, I did allude to what experts are saying. Look, I want to say this, because I know with these mock draft simulators, I use Pro Football Focus, but I know there are a lot of other ones out there. I know with all the media mock drafts and the draft boards that these experts put together and create, they don't mean a whole lot at the end of the day. None of these mock drafts are going to be 100% accurate or even close to it. You're going to see a lot of mock drafts that just aren't going to look as it should by the time Thursday night is over with. But that's all we have to look off of for right now. And I've said this many times. I think a lot of times we as fans might look at, I'll give you wide receiver as an example. I think we can all agree the wide receiver room can use improvement. And I don't think the Chiefs would even push back on that either. But I feel like a lot of the public's perception on wide receiver for the Chiefs is that, hey, this wide receiver room really needs improvement. Whereas with the Chiefs, I don't know if the Chiefs view it the exact same way, because I can see the Chiefs saying, hey, look, our wide receiver room is not that terrible. Our running game will help improvement. We have better coaches on the offensive side of the football, and that might help improve our wide receiver room. We're going to focus elsewhere. Now, you can only focus elsewhere if you have certain players that fall to you at number 9. But if David Bailey if Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain Jr., if those guys are off the board by the time the Chiefs have the number 9 pick, are on the clock with the number 9 pick, there's a good chance one of those 2 wide receivers I mentioned earlier, Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson, it's very possible you end up taking one of those guys then. And look, I don't know how the top 10 is going to go. We know what's going to happen at number 1, obviously. The Raiders are going to get Fernando Mendoza. But the Jets, man, they've got a lot of... They could get Jeremiah Love, especially with the possibility that they might be preparing for life after Breece Hall now. I mean, you look at the Titans. They got Cam Ward last year. Why not pair him up with a great running back and hope that can help form a better passing game? Or maybe they want to protect their franchise quarterback. The Giants, and the breaking news over the weekend, the Giants traded Dexter Lawrence to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals, they trade up just the the number 10 pick for this. I don't hate that move for the Bengals, but I feel like if you really wanted a defensive tackle, a younger option was there for you to trade down and even get more draft capital in return. But I get it. I mean, that defense desperately needs help, and they're trying to do something. No, Burrow doesn't have the greatest protection, but whether it's Burrow or Flacco, that offense has managed to do just fine. That's the defense that has not been able to create that balance. Now, from the Giants side of things, you kind of wonder how much this will impact Kansas City, because, and I'm a big fan of Wan'Dale Robinson, and I like what the Giants were able to showcase on offense at times last year, but Wan'Dale Robinson moved on to the Tennessee Titans, and you kind of wonder with that right now, is this Giants team, are they going to try to replace Wan'Dale Robinson by trying to get a Carnell Tate? Because if you do that, then that's 1 wide receiver off the board. I mean, I know there's this big thing about Ruben Bain Jr. and his arm length. It hasn't seemed to impact a lot of the media's decision on this. David Bailey, I'd be surprised if either Bain or Bailey were available. All offseason, I've been telling you, I think it's going to be Bain. But in recent weeks, it just feels like Bain's value has gone up. Even with that report about his off-the-field incidents, it just feels like he's not going to be there at 9. It just doesn't feel like that. So you might not get the edge rusher you want unless you trade up. And I thought about this over the weekend, and this is where I need your help. And Chris, I see you. You've been waiting patiently. I'll get to you in a moment here. And if you guys want to call in, click on the link, turn on your audio, your video. I want to hear from you guys because I need your help. I know you guys come to me for answers. Man, predicting what the Chiefs were going to do at 31 last year was way easier than what I think the Chiefs will do at 9 this year. And I know that's a little weird to say because last year you didn't have as many needs. But still, picking at 31, eventually 32, it's very hard to predict what exactly is going to happen. And listen, for what it's worth, I told you guys, I don't think there was a chance in hell Josh Simmons was going to fall, and look what happened. And I'm saying that right now about Ruben Bain Jr. I don't think he'll fall, nor Bailey at number 9. So I need your help. What do you guys think ends up happening at 9, assuming the Chiefs don't trade up or trade down? I know there are a lot of predictions out there about what the Chiefs might do in terms of trading up to try to get one of those edge rushers because the defensive line needs it. If you want my number 1 absolute need, like hypothetically speaking, if the NFL draft was just 1 pick for all 32 teams, that's it. And I had to tell you what I think the Chiefs are going to do. I think the Chiefs would focus hard on edge rusher. Listen, I'm eager to see what's going to happen. Tomorrow, Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, Threads, on Threads, they're going to be doing a mock draft with content creators, reporters, and I'm going to be a part of that. I know Chase Daniel is going to be doing the pick for the Saints. I'm going to be doing the Chiefs pick at 9. I think they're picking somebody else to do the 29th pick for the Chiefs. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm eager to see how the top 8 go, and by the time it's my turn, what I'm going to do, because we're not going to project trades. That's just going to take too much time and all. But I'm curious to see, who's going to be there at 9. This is going to be a very interesting Thursday night. What the Chiefs are going to do. They've got 2 first-round draft picks, and I really do not know how that number 9 pick is going to go. Chris, you've been waiting patiently. You're on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's up, Chris?
Hey, not much. Thank you for taking my call, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Well, first things first, got to address the elephant in the room, brother. When it comes to the draft, my prediction, when we have our first pick at number 9, we've got to go after an elite pass rusher, period. Like you said, and I agree with you 1,000%, we have to beef up our defensive line with all the key defensive players that we've either traded or lost. We've got to beef up the defensive line if we expect to, in my opinion, do any good this upcoming season.
But do you think anyone, do you think Reese, Bailey, Bain, would one of those 3 be available at 9? Because if I had to bet, I'm saying no.
I agree with you. I don't think so. And that's that. I mean, our only option to get one of those 3 is we would have to trade up.
I agree. I don't know what the asking price would be. And I don't know if I want to know, because I'm worried it might require giving up both first-round picks. And as nice as an edge rusher might be, I don't know if I'm ready to give up the 29th pick.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you 100%. It's going to be interesting. I mean, like you said, last year, Josh Simmons fell in the draft, didn't see it coming. This year, it's going to be so hard to truly predict, what they're going to do. But if I know Andy Reid and Brett Veach the way I do, I think it's going to be hopefully blockbuster.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing that. And thanks for the call, Chris. Something I'm really curious to see what the Chiefs do. If they don't want to give up the 29th pick as well as the 9th pick, would they consider giving up the 9th pick and next year's first round pick? Because again, the hope and expectation is that the Chiefs are not going to be picking this early ever again in the Patrick Mahomes era. So if you're going to give up the number 9 pick and next year's first round pick, that I think teams are going to look at Kansas City and say, look, you're probably going to be giving us a late first round pick. So you might need to throw in a 3rd rounder or a 4th rounder or something. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think the Chiefs do have 2 3rd round picks for 2027. Let me double check on that, because I would imagine that's from the Trent McDuffie trade. And that is going to be very significant. So in 2027, they only have 1 3rd round pick. That can't be right. Because I'm pretty certain, hold on, unless they gave up their own 3rd round pick, Trent McDuffie trade details. Because I swear the Chiefs got a 3rd round pick for next year. Let me see on the Chiefs website. Why am I not seeing this? Okay, there it is. A first rounder, 20th overall, 5th rounder, 6th rounder, and a 3rd round selection in 2027. So this website I'm looking at, SpotTrack, does not seem to have the 2027 picks updated. Let me see if another website might have that. 2027 Chiefs draft picks future. Because there are some websites that do keep track of that kind of stuff. This is prosportstransactions.com. Not sure how reputable this is. Let's see. Oh, that's 2026. Yeah, there it is. The Chiefs do indeed have 2 3rd round picks. So, and they don't have a 6th round pick for next year, because the one they got from the 49ers in the Sky Moore trade, they gave that to the Jets. So essentially what you did is you traded Sky Moore to the 49ers to get Justin Fields from the Jets. I'm really curious to see if the Chiefs use one of those 3rd round picks from 2027 to move up. that could become a very interesting negotiating tactic there from the Trent McDuffie trade. And by the way, if you guys want to call in like Chris did, the link is right there. All you got to do is click on it, turn on your audio, your video, and chat it up. Well, and we'll have that going for you guys Thursday night whenever the number 9 pick is made, because I want to hear from you guys on draft night as well. I know there will be a lot of thoughts that night as well. I'm just looking at that number 9 pick right now, because again, it obviously depends on what happens there. I'm hell bent on getting the best edge rusher possible, whoever you think that will be. And I know everyone has differing opinions, whether it's Reese or Bailey or Bain. And because once Reese, Bain, and Bailey are off the board, there isn't really another viable option at edge rusher until the 20s. That's when you have Akeem Mesidor from Miami, Keldrick Falk, from Auburn, Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M, TJ Parker from Clemson. A lot of you guys are familiar with Zion Young from Mizzou, Mason Thomas from Oklahoma also. So listen, if you don't get Bain or Bailey or Reese, it's not the end of the world. You can easily get any of those guys I mentioned, Mesidor, Falk, Howell, Parker, Young, or Thomas at 29. Or maybe even at 40 if you want to roll the dice a little bit there. However, and this is not no disrespect to any of those 6 guys I mentioned after Bain, Bailey, and Reese. It's just that I want Kansas City to absolutely get the best option possible. Kind of like what Chris was saying. You got to beef up that defensive line. This defensive line needs serious help. You're paying 2 guys a lot of money and you're not producing up front. I think the loss of Turk Warden really played a big hand last year on that defensive line, and you saw it. Omar Norman Lott not being available. You're banking on him to be healthy. You're hoping Kyrie's Tonga can help solve some of the issues on that defensive line. And if you can find that right edge rusher opposite of Karlaftis, you might have a really good defensive line for a few years to come. Because if let's say you get Bain, whether he falls a 9 or you trade up to get him, you've got a really good defensive line on your hands. I really do feel that. Not just with your starters, which could potentially be Karlaftis, Bain, Chris Jones, and Kyrie's Tonga, but then as far as your backups go, you would have Omar Norman Lott and Ashton Gelati as depth guys who you drafted last year. And I think that's really going to help your defensive line a lot. That is something that this defensive line really needs. Would be nice to find a way to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, that I don't know. I don't know what the asking price for that would be. Because I know Marvin Harrison Jr. has not panned out, and I don't think that is entirely his fault. Man, the Cardinals are not going. They're not going to be willing to take anything low for him. If you're not offering a first round pick, I don't think you're getting him. And if you're going to give up the 29th pick, I think Arizona is going to listen to it, but they're going to want much more. You're kind of going to need to give up several draft picks. Not saying that he has the same value as Tyreek Hill, because we don't know. Because remember, Tyreek Hill got traded, and there were all those draft picks that the Chiefs got from Miami out of that. I'm not saying Marvin Harrison Jr. has that same value, because we truly don't know. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been part of a really bad system for a few years now. So I don't think Arizona, a team that is, and I think somebody in the comment mentioned this, Jonas, I mean, they are in rebuild mode. They've been in rebuild mode for a while. And if they want to give up a potentially marquee player, they're going to want a lot in return so they can try to get as much possible in their process to rebuild. I'm just not sure right now. Let's say Reese, Bain, and Bailey go off the board. Jeremiah Love will not be there at 9. I know people are continuing their dream scenario of pairing up Jeremiah Love with Patrick Mahomes, but when you're paying Kenneth Walker $15 million a year, I think that's extremely unlikely. Francis Mauigoa, I think is gonna go within the top 8. I think Caleb Downs will also be gone. So that leaves you in a position where there's a good chance Carnell Tate will fall to you at 9. And if he does not fall to you at 9, I think there's a 99% chance Jordan Tyson will be there at 9. Blake says that's because PFF isn't realistic when it comes to what teams. I mean, listen, none of these mock drafts or draft boards are realistic. They're not. I said this earlier. A lot of what the media says, teams may not view it the same way. I know a lot of people think the Chiefs are going to go for a right tackle. A lot of people in the national media, that is. But we don't know for sure if that's what's exactly going to happen. I know wide receiver seems to be a popular need that people are labeling for the Chiefs. But again, I'm just thinking there's a chance the Chiefs might not feel the same way at wide receiver. I could see Andy Reid, telling his staff, his front office that, look, we got Worthy, Rice, and Thornton. We might be able to manage with this with a better run game that'll open up the pass game, having a better offensive coordinator, and having a better wide receivers coach. I could see the Chiefs not putting wide receiver high on their priority list. Now, if Mauigoa is gone, if all those edge rushers are gone, if Caleb Downs is gone, then yes, I think they're going to have to settle for a wide receiver unless they can get a really good offer for that number 9 pick. Brian says, I think we should take the best available in the first 2 rounds of the following: edge, offensive tackle, cornerback, and wide receiver. Yeah, and I would add safety to that position group as well, Ryan. Because again, I think there are a lot of people that are open to the idea. When I say a lot of people, I'm talking about fans, open to the idea of the Chiefs trading down from 9. But there are a lot of people who are very strong about wanting the Chiefs to stay at 9 because they don't think they can ever get this high of a draft pick again in the Mahomes era. Because what have we all complained about in recent years? Oh man, we're picking late at 30, 31, 32 because we're in the Super Bowl for 3 years in a row, or the AFC Championship at the very least. Well, now, because the Chiefs had a very disappointing season, you're picking 9th. And it matters that this one you hit a home run with. And I know Karlaftis did not have his best season, but I would still argue that even though, you didn't have a very high draft pick in 2022, can we safely say the Chiefs did a good job with their 2 draft picks in Karlaftis and McDuffie? McDuffie was, I think, a 2-time All-Pro, and you ended up getting 4 draft picks from him. Karlaftis, on the other hand, again, I know he is coming off probably his worst season in Kansas City, and terrible timing on that because of the contract he signed right before it. But Karlaftis has done a good job for you for the most part. And I think that's what you need in this first round, assuming you keep those 2 first-round draft picks and don't trade out of either one of them, the 29th especially. But what is Kansas City going to do? Here's what I've been saying for a long time. I've been saying that if I had to place a bet, I think Kansas City will take 2 defensive players in the first round. Maybe they do 1 each, 1 offense, 1 defense. But right now, I'm not so sure if I can really shut down the possibility of 2 offensive players. Because if all those edge rushers that we mentioned that are expected to go early in the draft, if they're all gone, the Chiefs might get Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson. Look, I'll tell you this right now. If I had to, on April the 20th at 7:41 p.m., roughly 72 hours before the Chiefs are expected to make their first selection, if I had to tell you what will Kansas City do with the number 9 pick, I don't think my prediction of Ruben Bain Jr. is happening. If I got to do a do-over prediction, if I got a second chance prediction for the number 9 pick, based on a lot of the reports we're hearing lately, I think it's going to be Jordan Tyson. That's who I think the Chiefs will realistically end up with. My thought process is, and by the way, why do I think they might go to offensive players? Because there was a report from Todd McShay, who's been doing this a long, long time. And I'll read you the quote. I am told on really good authority that Andy Reid is hell-bent on figuring out this offensive line and protecting Patrick Mahomes, who is the epicenter of everything that is success in Kansas City Chiefs, who is coming off an injury. What if the Chiefs got Jordan Tyson with the 9th pick, and then with the 29th pick, they went and got either Blake Miller, who's a right tackle from Clemson, Caden Proctor, who's a left tackle from Alabama, but a lot of people feel like he's capable of making the switch to right tackle, or Max Hanacho from Arizona State, who's a right tackle. There are a lot of right tackles that might go in the first round. Francis Mauigoa, Spencer Fano, Blake Miller, Max Hanacho. Gennings Dunker might be there in the 3rd round. If he somehow falls, I'd be surprised, but I mean, the Chiefs have some options with good right tackles here. But because a lot of people in the national media keep thinking the Chiefs are going to take Spencer Fano at 9. And if Mauigoa somehow falls at 9, then the Chiefs will absolutely take him. Especially if there are no edge rushers then. Of the 3 guys I mentioned, to be clear. Because if you go the entire first round with your 2 draft picks, picking offensive players, boy, I would be floored if you don't with your 67th pick. Or I'm sorry, not 67th. Your 40th pick? I would be shocked if the Chiefs are not taking an edge rusher then. And I've seen it on Mel Kiper's final mock draft. I think he did an updated mock draft because of the trade with the New York Giants. I think you've absolutely got to make sure number 40 is an edge rusher. And that might end up being either Zion Young or who's the other one? Mason from Oklahoma. Mason Thomas. It's got to be one of those 2 guys. I don't think you're passing on edge if you went offense with your first 2 picks. Let me ask you guys. Do you think what percent do you give of the probability that the Chiefs will get not 1, but 2 offensive players in the first round? Because if you asked me this 7 days ago, I would have said a 10% chance. Now, I'm probably leaning 40%, and it probably depends on how the first 8 picks go. But with all these reports and speculation on offensive tackle, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing about right tackle at 9 or even 29, man, I think we've got to be open-minded about the possibility that the Chiefs might really target a right tackle. If Mauigoa falls at 9, or if one of those other guys are there at 29. A lot of you guys, okay, 5, 10, 0, 20, 15, 10, 20. Okay, a lot of you guys are not as optimistic as I am. Yeah, right now I'm kind of putting at 30, 35%, 5%. Okay. I feel like there's a really good chance the Chiefs might go. I say a really good chance, but I just said 30, 35%. But I don't know, like my thought process has changed completely. And that's based off what I'm hearing from the media and those who are on the inside. Steve says offensive tackles are offensive players. So if it's the need, go get them. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think they need an offensive tackle or right tackle to be exact, because I'm not too big on Jalen Moore. I think Jalen Moore can be a decent left tackle. But man, when I saw him play right tackle last year, he did not look good. And that's putting it very kindly. Listen, I was excited. What was it, 13 months ago when the Chiefs got Jalen Moore from San Francisco? And I remember Brett Veach was very excited about him as well, saying that the only knock on him is he didn't get enough playing time. He was backing up Trent Williams, and whenever he got the opportunity to play left tackle, he looked really good doing so for the 49ers. They bring him in. He fills in for Josh Simmons because he had to go on a personal absence for 4 weeks. Looked all right, wasn't great. At right tackle, whenever Juwan Taylor got hurt, he did not look very good. He did not look very good playing that position. I know the Chiefs also have Wanya Morris, who's played some left and right tackle, mostly left tackle, but he's been dealing with an injury. Jalen Moore got hurt. And I know Jalen Moore's set to make a lot of money this year. I don't care how much money someone's set to make on the offensive line. And that's why I was kind of frustrated, like a lot of you guys, with Juwan Taylor. Who cares how much money he's making? He is hurting the Chiefs more than helping them. Like, let him take the money and run, but don't let your quarterback get beat to hell. And unfortunately, that happened at times last year. And I do think the pass protection was better last year. I remember watching that very first game against the Chargers in Brazil. And I remember at one point, I'm like, why can't Patrick find someone down the field? And at the same thought, I was like, wait a minute. I'm bitching and moaning that Patrick Mahomes is taking too long to throw the football. He has pass protection. This is not something we had the year before. We were complaining about the pass protection in 2024. And they were crawling their way out of these games, winning 15 of them. But now you look at the offensive line. Kingsley Suamataia is a better guard than tackle, certainly has room to grow, and I think that he'll make that progress. Josh Simmons, he's got room to grow as well, but I really liked what I saw from him whenever he was on the field last year. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, we don't need to go over those guys. Those guys are elite players at their positions. If you can get a good right tackle at 9, again, I know that's not exciting. That's not a bad thing, because I think it will be exciting when you see Mahomes has a lot of time to throw and can get the ball to Rice. And I know the complaint about the wide receiver room right now is that they can't beat man coverage, which, by the way, I mean, that was just a disaster to watch last year. My argument on this is that you have a better running game. You have a better offensive coordinator. You have a way better wide receivers coach. And I think that will help improve the wide receiver room and their ability to beat man coverage. As far as what's more likely, do they trade up from 9 or 29? Probably 29. I know everybody out there is speculating on the Chiefs trading up from 9, but the asking price is gonna be a lot. How do you feel about Jermon McCoy from Tennessee? Maybe after the first round? Yeah, he might go late first or early second. Listen, it would be helpful. I think Kansas City will go after several defensive backs here. I could see a couple cornerbacks and a couple safeties. Kansas City needs that right now. They went after 5 defensive backs in 2022 when they needed essentially a whole makeover with their secondary. And they're kind of in a very similar position right now. Does Maui know his herniated disc changes? And by the way, and I appreciate Eric bringing this up because I did forget about this. Yeah, there is that report from Adam Schefter, I believe it was, that Francis Mauigoa has a herniated disc in his back that is considered asymptomatic. But the thought process is, even with the injury, he's still expected to be the first offensive lineman to get drafted Thursday night. But if the injury is worse than maybe people had thought, then he could miss a couple of months. Listen, Josh Simmons was not supposed to be available early on for the Chiefs, but he was there in training camp for Kansas City. I think I don't think it's going to impact him too much. I think he'll still be the first offensive line off the board. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I know I've said this several times tonight. I don't know what's going to happen Thursday night. I thought for sure there would be 2 defensive players taken. Man, a lot of these recent reports in the last 7 days just have me thinking the Chiefs are probably very high on a couple of offensive players. It sounds like they're in love with Jordan Tyson. I think Carnell Tate has gone by 9. If Jordan Tyson's there at 9, and I think I would be shocked if anyone traded up to get Tyson. If Carnell Tate goes at like 5 or 6, there might be a team that gets word that the Chiefs are seriously considering him at 9, and maybe somebody else trades up to get Jordan Tyson at 9 because they feel very strongly about him. I don't know. That's the only way I could see Jordan Tyson not being available to the Chiefs at 9. I do like Caleb Banks. I like some of those defensive tackles, by the way. Caden McDonald, Peter Woods, Caleb Banks, Lee Hunter from Texas Tech might be there early in the second round. Yeah, Denzel Boston, I think, is someone. Who's that wide receiver from Louisville? His name escapes my mind right now. Bell, I believe. Chris Bell. Yeah, Chris Bell might be someone who the Chiefs look at 40. Something to keep an eye on. You know what wide receiver I don't want? And I know there's been so much conversation around him, especially during the week of the combine. I'm not really big on KC Concepcion. Stay away. I'm sorry. Stay away from him. He's got issues with, I think he'll have a solid career, but he's got a lot of drops. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a career similar to Dwayne Bowe. Now, Dwayne Bowe did a lot of great things for Kansas City, but he was also a liability with those drops there. He had a lot of those in his career. And unfortunately, listen, I know 2023 was a couple of years ago, but we have not, I think as Chiefs fans, can I safely speak for every Chiefs fan when I say we have yet to forget about the 2023 season and the plethora of drops we had that year? The Chiefs led the league in drops by a wide margin. The fact that they even made the playoffs felt like a miracle. Well, guess what? They won the Super Bowl that year. And then, listen, to the credit of all the wide receivers that year, the drops did go down. They didn't go away, but they did go down during the playoffs. I just feel like right now, because they kind of came back in that Dallas game on Thanksgiving, and I remember Andy Reid, I can't remember what game it was. I can't remember which Monday it was, because on a Thursday, they don't do a press conference the following day. But I feel like the Monday after the Dallas game, I think Andy Reid made a comment saying, I have no idea where these drops came from all of a sudden. I mean, Patrick Mahomes had to have deja vu going back to 2023 when damn near everyone, even Justin Ross, who barely got playing time that year, was dropping passes. And look, I think with a better coaching staff, that can be erased. And yeah, I know. I'm sorry to remind you guys. Yeah, we don't need those drops. Casey Concepcion, I think, can be a solid receiver, but it's got to be a team that's willing to be very patient with him. That's the only wide receiver I would have a really big issue with. Bo could have been a Hall of Famer with a better quarterback. Yeah, perhaps. I mean, listen, I thought he did pretty well with the carousel of quarterbacks he dealt with during his time in Kansas City. But, I mean, you don't have, it's not the fault of Brody Croyle, for example, or Damon Heward that you drop the pass. It just isn't. Draft Carnell Tate reminds me of George Pickens and a CeeDee Lamb. Dude, if the Chiefs got a CeeDee Lamb type of football player, I would be thrilled with that. Like, that would be worth not having an edge rusher at 9. Here's my thing. I'm not opposed. I want to be very clear on this. I'm not opposed to the Chiefs taking a wide receiver at 9, but here's my thing. And this is what I want to warn you guys. If you do take a wide receiver at 9, it gets a little interesting because look at your wide receiver room. I know I'm the president of the Tyquan Thornton fan club, but you've got to find a way to incorporate that guy because that guy showed some serious potential that New England was not able to utilize when he was there. Rashee Rice, okay, he had flashes in 2024. We got to see it consistently, though, in addition to staying healthy and in addition to not getting into trouble. Xavier Worthy, look, I can cut him some slack. For that dude fought through a torn labrum last year. That's not easy. I know Tyron Woodley, the former UFC welterweight champion, former Mizzou wrestler, by the way, that dude tore his labrum in the first round against a jiu-jitsu specialist. And he still found a way to shut down every single takedown attempt, which is not easy to do. Athletes can fight through a torn labrum. It's not very easy, though. It will limit you in what you can do. Because I still saw Xavier Worthy go out there and torch defenders in the secondary. I saw Tyquan Thornton do it as well. But Patrick Mahomes was inaccurate on a lot of those deep throws last year. And that's why I'm hoping with a better coaching staff that will change for the better for Kansas City. Because if it doesn't, there are some serious concerns across the board with players and coaches. This truly is Ross kicking ass in the UFL. Imagine if Chad O'Shea had a chance to coach him and develop it. I mean, listen, it's never too late. He's always got the opportunity to come back. I was shocked nobody else was willing to take him because he asked to be released right before training camp in hopes that he could get a chance elsewhere to play because he knew what the depth chart was going to look like. And no one picked him up, which I was really surprised about. This is a really unpredictable first round for me for what Kansas City's going to do. Obviously, it depends on what happens at 9. Like if they take a wide receiver, they're obviously not going to take another one at 29. But the thought is, if you take Jordan Tyson, then 29 is probably going to be an offensive tackle like Blake Miller, or an edge rusher like Zion Young, TJ Parker. I would have a very difficult time thinking they don't that they go elsewhere. And if they do go elsewhere, man, that number 40 pick must be either Zion Young if he falls there or Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. It's got to be one of those two. And if that happens, okay, fine. But man, you had better options at edge rusher. And listen, just because you don't take someone in the first round does not mean that everyone else sucks. Not at all. I mean, we've seen over time. Travis Kelce was a 3rd round pick. That dude is a future Hall of Famer. Should have been the number 1 pick in 2013, which, by the way, would have still been Kansas City. So listen, you can still find great football players: Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Justin Houston, Jamal Charles, Kareem Hunt prior to getting kicked off. I mean, those guys all look like they were they were all elite players, despite not being taken in the first round. So you always have that possibility. Jared Allen just went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he was a 4th round pick. Yeah, so to go back to my comment about wide receiver, because I see your comment, Robert, if Thornton isn't heavily featured, you have to get on Coach Reed for coaching malpractice. I mean, I don't ever want to question Andy Reid on this, but that would be very confusing for sure. But to go back to my point about wide receiver, let's just say Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate, but I think Tyson's more realistic. If you get Tyson, how do you incorporate him? Because I know the Chiefs value both Rice and Worthy very highly. I mean, they traded up to get Worthy. And with that speed, they feel like he can do some dangerous things with Patrick Mahomes. Rashee Rice is capable of doing damage against defenses. We've seen it before. Hell, when Rice played last year, and it was only 8 games where Rice played, Rice was targeted 78 times. For comparison's sake, 78 targets last year. He had 79 receptions his rookie year and was targeted 102 times. Obviously, 2024, a much shorter season, 24 catches, 29 targets. A lot of passes were completed going towards Rice. Last year, 53 catches, 78 targets. A very low yard per catch average, his lowest of his career, 10.8 yards per catch. But he was targeted 78 times in the 8 games he played. I mean, the Chiefs if you do the math right there, he's averaging almost 10 targets a game. Could have easily had anywhere from 150 to 170 targets if he played a full season. So when you look at Rashee Rice right now, yes, I know he's got a lot of issues off the field. Yes, I know he wants a big contract. And I think realistically speaking, Rashee Rice knows he's not in a position to demand a big deal. He's had 2 season-ending injuries. I know he was probably more likely than not held out from the last few games this past year, but he's had a couple of off-the-field incidents. He's got to find a way, or let's just say there has been off-the-field drama. I think that's the most fair way to put it. And listen, it's a contract year. Contract years are undefeated, as they like to say in sports. So I think Rashee Rice has every incentive to ball out this year. Xavier Worthy, I think he knows he's got to step up and have the best season he's ever had. So when you look at the Chiefs right now with their wide receiver room, if they add Jordan Tyson, I don't know short term how he would be able to thrive and contribute in a high manner. Now, if the thought process from the Chiefs standpoint, because I think the popular prediction out there is the Chiefs are going to let Rashee Rice walk, unless he statistically is the best wide receiver this upcoming season, then you've got yourself a long-term solution at wide receiver. And listen, again, I know I've said I'm not big on drafting a wide receiver early if you're the Chiefs, but if you're the Chiefs and you think somebody on this in this draft class, someone can be a CeeDee Lamb type of football player, a Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jamar Chase type of player, fine. I'm not going to argue with that. Go get that player. But man, you got to make sure you absolutely address the bigger need later on in the draft. That's just my standpoint on it. I'll read a few more comments and then get out of here. Some people are saying double dip at wide receiver, double dip defensive line. See, double dip at defensive line, that's my dream scenario. That is what I want. Is that what I think will happen? Probably not. Tyson, when healthy, is by far the best wide receiver in this draft class, and it's not even close. You know, I was talking to Eddie Law, a friend of mine who does the Arizona Cardinals podcast, and he's a big Arizona fan, Arizona Wildcats, to be clear. And I asked him for his input because he follows college football very closely. He says, dude, we hated going up against Jordan Tyson. That dude is the best wide receiver in this class if he's healthy. Because I think he missed 16 or 17 games during his time in college, which is the knock on him and maybe why he might not be the first wide receiver taken off the board. But yeah, no, you're right about that, Blake. If he can stay healthy, he might be the best wide receiver in this draft class for years to come. Beckett says, I'm debating if the Chiefs do trade up to pick 3. Do you think they would still take Bain or would they get Reese or Bailey? I think they would take Reese or Bailey. Probably Reese. Now, the asking price, I think we need to have a bigger debate about the asking price. That one scares the hell out of me. I don't know if a team... Who is number 3? Arizona. I think if you gave Arizona the 9 and 29th pick, I don't think they're going to ask for anything else. Well, I wonder, would the Chiefs ask for like a day 3 pick? So listen, if you're going to trade up to 3, and if you want to get your version of a Micah Parsons or a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby, fine, go get that player if you really think he's worth trading up for. Is there a world where they trade up to 3 and grab Jeremiah Love? No. And the reason I say that is they're paying Kenneth Walker $15 million a year. And this is a guy that just won Super Bowl MVP and balled out in the postseason. And on top of that, if you're trading up, you're going to lose some draft picks. I think that's going to be the expectation. So if you're going to give up some draft picks, then that puts you in a position where you have less of a chance to address more of your needs. So running back just would not be the most wise. It would not be the wisest of options. Tyson missed 1 of every 3 games in college. Yeah, that's a concern for sure. And that's why I think, look, to start off his NFL career, if Jordan Tyson is in a wide receiver room that includes Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, and Tyquan Thornton, and Jalen Royals, who I think is going to get more involved this year than he did last year, hey, that's not bad. Because then that reduces your chances of getting hurt. What was the knock on Sammy Watkins? Sammy Watkins was an injury-prone wide receiver. Now, the great news in 2018, when the Chiefs signed Sammy Watkins, which I remember at the time not every Chiefs fan was in favor of, Sammy Watkins was not brought in to be your clear-cut number one pass catcher. The Chiefs still had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce as their primary pass catchers. Sammy Watkins was just another piece of that offensive puzzle, a big piece, mind you, but he wasn't the number one relied wide receiver last year. That's why I said last year, I meant a few years ago. That's why I had so much hope for last year's wide receiver group, because you had Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Tyquan Thornton, Xavier Worthy. I still fall on the sword that you had every reason to thrive and succeed with that group, but the hill I'll die on is that the offensive coordinator and the wide receivers coach held that group back. But we can't really dwell on that too much because it's over with. Disagree. I would take Love. Really? When you sign Kenneth Walker and you're paying him a lot of money, $45 million in 3 years, I don't know, man. Add in the fact that defensive line needs help. If the Chiefs did not sign Kenneth Walker, yes, I could see the argument of trading up to get Jeremiah Love. But I don't think that's going to happen. Some analysts have us pass on Bain, who goes pick 10 through 14. Like, how misinformed are their so-called experts? I mean, listen, you never know. Someone every now and I don't think it happens every year, but every now and then there's always somebody that falls in the draft. Now, some guys fall way more than others, like Geno Smith. A lot of people thought he would for sure go in the first round. He fell to the second round. Shedeur Sanders was, I don't know if there was a player that fell as heavily as he did. I remember Brady Quinn was not as heavy of a fall, but it felt like it for him in the moment, where he was taken, I think, 22nd overall to Cleveland, one pick before Kansas City. So Hill, I'm willing to die on his Embry room, the wide receiver room. I do not disagree. Listen, we've already gone over it, so I don't want to dwell too much on that, but he was not a good wide receivers coach. I lost my train of thought. I just feel like, look, running back's not the most smart option because you have Kenneth Walker. You have Emari Demercado, who's got very good speed. Do you think we will go and pick up Hill since he is already training in Kansas City? No. I don't think Tyreek Hill is going to get signed until the middle of the season, to be honest with you. I think Tyreek Hill is in a spot where he's basically going to wait it out and see what team desperately needs a wide receiver. If the Chiefs deal with the injury bug again, yeah, then I can see a reunion being very realistic. But I think, man, if the Chiefs wide receiver room stays healthy, I think they're going to play without Tyreek Hill the whole year. He was so awful. It's funny how he hasn't landed a coaching job this year. Yeah, I have noticed that. I know a lot of times coaching staffs are not fully announced until a little later. Like in terms of the quality control coaches. I mean, I would have to imagine he gets a quality control job. If not, he's probably going to have to go back to high school coaching. But that's neither here nor there. Highly doubt it. He won't be ready until the end of the season, and the doctor said he won't be as fast as the season. Yeah, and I think some people are still willing to take an 80% Tyreek Hill. Now, I don't know if Tyreek Hill will be 80%, but the thought is an 80% Tyreek Hill can still outplay a lot of other wide receivers out there. I don't know, but I think that's something we'll see down the line. Listen, this is a very unpredictable draft for Kansas City. I thought it was very likely they'd get an edge rusher, either Reuben Maine Jr. or David Bailey. Now it doesn't feel like either one of those guys will be available at 9. So it's going to be very interesting how this plays out. I'm excited to see Thursday night. It's I'm done waiting. Like, I want the draft to start now. So, and I think exactly 72 hours from now, we will get that number 9 pick. And we'll find out. Either they trade or they stand pat, and they make that move. And I'm eager to see what they do at 9. There are a lot of options. Everyone's been speculating quarterback, safety, edge, running back is still speculated. Wide receiver, offensive tackle. There is a lot that could happen. Do I believe Felix will step up this year? No. I have given up on Felix Anudike-Uzomah. I am one of the more patient sports fans. Not that, that's something you brag about or pat yourself on the back for, but I try to be patient with players and coaches. I really do. My thing is, this past preseason against the Cardinals, he played in the second half of the preseason. That was my last straw with him. Your first round pick and you're playing in the second half of a preseason game, you're a bust. I mean, at this point, I don't have any expectation. If you're a former first round pick and you're playing in the second half of a preseason game, you should be kicking whoever's ass is blocking opposite of you. There's no way you should be even losing that battle. And unfortunately, he wasn't even winning that battle. So I'm kind of at a point now with FAU, like this is his last year, I would have to think. It's a contract year for him as well, but I'm not expecting much from him. But yes, he's a part of the depth, like I mentioned earlier with some of those other defensive linemen. If you do add Ruben Bain Jr., I think it would certainly be good for your depth. So we'll see. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. Hey, quick reminder as to what we have coming up. We're basically doing a live stream every single day this week. Tomorrow, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Central Time, we will be joined by a Chiefs Hall of Famer. Won't say who it is. We were supposed to have him Friday. He needed to reschedule. He's been doing a lot of media lately. So if you're following former Chiefs on social media, you might know who I'm talking about, but you will find out. We'll be joined by a Chiefs Hall of Famer tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time. Very excited to talk to this person. He's very well connected with a couple of guys on this current team, and I definitely want to pick his brain on those guys. And we'll have some more draft talk as well. So look out for that. And then Wednesday night, we will have the final Chiefs Zone podcast before the draft. I will give you my final Chiefs mock draft, my final prediction on what I think the Chiefs will do at 9:29, as well as all of the other picks. And then Thursday night, here's what we're going to do Thursday night. We'll do a pre-show live stream. So an hour before the draft, which is going to be 6 p.m. Central Time, we'll do a live stream. I don't know how long we'll go for. Just kind of depends on who shows up and how long, we'll feel it out. We'll see how it goes. Then we'll sign off. You guys watch the draft without me. As soon as the Chiefs make their first selection, which is probably going to be at 9, we will go live immediately, and I will have the link for you guys to call in. So if you guys are going to be sticking around Thursday night on the couch, on your phones, on your laptops, whatever it is on social media, make sure you join me as soon as the Chiefs make their first selection, because we will go live and react to it. And I think we're just going to stick around and go live for the entire night. So we'll react live to the 29th pick, assuming the Chiefs end up holding on to that selection. So join me for that. It's going to be a long Thursday night. I'm excited for it, and I hope you guys join me for that. Then we will do the Red Friday Q&A live chat Friday morning. Obviously not Friday night to not interfere with the second and third round of the draft. But as soon as the second round pick is made at 40, assuming they stay at 40, we will go live and react to that as well. Maybe I go live for the second round. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. All right, guys, my name is Farzin Vousoughian. Thank you all for joining me tonight. If you enjoyed enjoyed this podcast, share it, let your friends know. If you tuned in late and missed most or all of this live stream and you just tuned in now, hey, it'll be archived very shortly on Facebook, YouTube, X, Apple, Spotify, anywhere where you can download and listen to a podcast. So check it out. Please give it a share. Let your friends know about the podcast. Invite your friends to all of the social media pages, especially on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube at the Chiefs Zone on YouTube. My name is Farzin Vousoughian. I will talk to you all in 23 hours. Peace out.